mwe umfokulira kwa bantu niwebo balefwaya kafwa babalanda mwe umfokulira kwa kazama yabe abakulu ebashikata n'abana bayo banelirawe mwamba kasilewe eshi mwamba later experience alankane wabomba mwamba Emmanuel Mose asama balefwaya mwamba Emmanuel mwamba masata. Niwebo balefwaya kafwa babalanda mwe umfokulira kwa bantu kazama yuti bose batinda be abakulu n'abana bose bashikata n'abana bayo banelirawe mwamba kazama ilefwaya iwe wilewe boeshi mwamba later experience alankane wabomba mwamba Emmanuel bose bakasama balefwaya mwamba Emmanuel bakasama bakulira tulefwaya mwamba wesu Emmanuel chipani ni PF tulefwaya mwamba wesu Emmanuel wakwito mwele Emmanuel mwamba masata Emmanuel walefwaya Emmanuel mwamba masata Emmanuel alankane wabomba mwamba Emmanuel bose bakasama balefwaya mwamba Emmanuel bakasama bakulira tulefwaya mwamba wesu Emmanuel chipani ni PF tulefwaya mwamba wesu Emmanuel mwamba masata Emmanuel niwebo balefwaya kafwa babalanda mwe umfokulira kwa bantu kazama yuti bose batinda be abakulu n'abana bose bashikata n'abana bayo banelirawe.
Welcome to today's brief and welcoming you to this week. Today, we'll focus on the trips. What are the costs associated with these trips? The president has taken over 35 trips in a period of 20 months. That's a lot of international trips in such a short period. And of all these trips, many people argue, no, it doesn't need to go to China because China is in the where our debt restructuring is being discussed related to Chad, Ethiopia, and Zambia. And they argue that there's no need for the president to go to China. We hold that it was imperative for the president to have taken, out of these 35 trips, to have taken one trip to, at least to China, to cement the bilateral relations. There's nothing better than, sovereign to sovereign sitting on one table. And we think that the issue of debt restructuring will have been resolved if the president of 3.1% annual payment, I think, raised a lot of issues. ZCCMIH minority shareholders said they were not informed, they were not given adequate information, and they were bulldozed to make and endorse that decision when a board meeting came up in April, 3rd April 2023. And we have spoken against this conversion. Government was trying to persuade us to understand that the conversion was better for ZCCMIH. There will be a guaranteed return of 3.1%. 3.1% of what? And ZCCMIH has shares of 20% in Kansanshi, and there were those issues. And even the disposal of these assets didn't comply with the law. Article 210, Sub-Article 2, is very clear about disposal of state assets, especially major state assets. They need to get 2/3 majority. Government argued that the conversion didn't necessarily mean that we're disposing of these assets. We'll see how they will dispose of the issue of KCM and Mopani. We'll see if they will go to Parliament. We understand this is one of the issues that Dolly Kabanda also resigned because there's pressure. Mopani apparently is supposed to be given to First Quantum, and KCM is supposed to be handed back to Vedanta. You all know Vedanta was a bad shareholder for the last 20 years, didn't comply with regulations, poisoned our people, didn't pay taxes, left a huge utility bill, and also bills to contractors of, a bill of $200 million. They seek to come back, and they've been, pushing a lot of voices to speak on their behalf, including State House. So I think these two issues are also simmering. Every time you hear that they're about to resolve the issues of KCM and Mopani, it's Vedanta and First Quantum Minerals. We've argued that these are assets that can be run by ZCCMIH. Leave it to competent people, qualified people. They can run these assets. They can source money. And remember, ZCCMIH is a $1 billion company. It's a way in which it can utilize those assets and seek financing. And this behavior of interference, you've seen what has happened at the Auditor General's office, where the auditor was literally arrested, his team disbanded, literally suspended, and some taken to cabinet office even before investigations could be completed. We've raised an issue of the corruption at Ministry of Health. We've raised an issue of Ministry of Agriculture. We've raised an issue at Ministry of Mines, where an environmental protection fund, over $35 million, this fund, that mining companies contribute, and it has accumulated to over $35 million. They want a manager for it, a fund manager, and a company associated with the president, Africa Life Insurance, was won this so-called tender, and it's supposed to manage that environmental protection fund. So there are a lot of corruption issues that are arising in this country, and the issues as SCMIH are not exempt. The pressure to resolve the issue of KCM and Mopani shouldn't mean that we should engage in corruption or in things that are not suitable for our country. Another matter that I thought I could get away with and discuss was the decision of the Economic Association of Zambia to propose that IDC should be sold up to 75%. You all know that IDC is a holding company for our state-owned enterprises. And the Economic Association of Zambia has proposed that this was at the symposium held at Mungushi International Conference on 2nd May, and EAZ said that the assets of IDC should be disposed of. Our concern is that what are we learning from the 90s when we sold over 325 companies? What did that do to our country? Why do we think that when we dispose of these assets that therefore they'll be better? ZESCO currently is non-performing. Are you going to sell it because it's non-performing? Or you need to bring proper management, both board and management, so that strategically ZESCO becomes a very viable company, one of the best utilities in Africa, so that you get professionals to get it to profit. Why should we sell IDC? What will we remain with? We already sold over 325 companies in the 90s. So I was rather surprised by this submission by the Economic Association of Zambia, and I was soliciting for your view. What does IDC have? First, there are majority shareholders in certain companies. There are also minority shareholders, but there are also investees where they have invested in certain companies. In mining, forestry, and agriculture, they have Kajem, they have Zafico, they have ZCCMIH, the one we've just talked about. They have Kawambwa Tea Company. In the energy sector, they own Indeni, ZESCO, Bangweulu, power company, the solar company, and Ingonye Power Company. We've invested as IDC, Lusaka South, Mount Fez, and Infraset, the fiber company, and one of the best, supposed to be one of the best internet companies, service providers. In the banking and financial sector, they have invested in Indobank, Zambia Industrial Commercial Bank, Zambia Reinsurance, in Zanaco, that 49% shareholding, Zisk General and Zisk Insurance. In the manufacturing sector, IDC has shares in Superior Milling, Marco Polo, remember the controversial investment in Marco Polo Tiles, NCZ, Zampam in Impika, Zambia Cashew Company in Mongu, Eastern Tropical Company, which is in Petauke, that is supposed to be processing fruits, and the Kanene Hughes Fruit Company in Mwinilunga. In the health and tourism, they own Mulungushi International Conference Center, they own Lusaka Trust Hospital, they own Mulungushi Village. This EAZ says we should sell these assets, either to foreign investment or to Zambians, or float them on the stock exchange. We seem to have learned nothing. What do you think should be the proposal? Thirdly, the Patriotic Front held its Central Committee meeting over the weekend. I think it's supposed to go to General Conference. There's a lot of anticipation. The party resolved that there are issues to go to the General Conference currently. You are aware that there are 2 court cases, one for Maul Sampa, and the other one for Maul Sampa's taken 2 court cases, sorry. One contesting his disciplinary action, the other one challenging the decision to appoint the party vice president, given Lubinda's acting president, and Nixon Chilangwa, who is the deputy secretary general, to be appointed as secretary general. Maul Sampa has taken these 2 issues to court, but he has also sued the registrar in a matter where party organs have since joined. Our members of parliament have joined, members of the Central Committee have also joined, and then the party secretariat has also joined to that case, is asking the registrar to compel the Central Committee or the party to go to General Conference. So the issue of the General Conference is also tied up in court, and the Central Committee said there was nothing at the moment that can be done. They hope that the matter in court can be resolved quickly on the issues of Maul Sampa. The party also discussed disciplinary cases. You remember, I think we had announced that there were 2 MPs that were written to on disciplinary matters, Anton Mumba from Kantanshi and Robert Chavinga from Mafinga. The Central Committee referred these matters to the disciplinary committee. We'll hear what the disciplinary committee will come up with, and we'll then bring it to the Central Committee for determination. The 2 members of parliament were written to, and they had responded. So we have the charges and their response on this matter. I thought I could brief you on that. Let's get back to our main topic, the travels by the president. He has undertaken 35 trips in a period of 20 months. And our argument, as you've heard, is that he should have taken a trip to China. First, China and Zambia have warm bilateral relations. Our history can't be complete without China. They built the Tazara. They built Mulungushi International Conference. They are, apart from the US, they are also our largest bilateral partner. And for the project finance, which the Patriotic Front were engaged in, whether it was the construction of Kafue Lower Gorge at $2.1 billion, and other infrastructure investments such as airport, China was instrumental. And currently we owe it about $6.3 billion, both in these loans related to project finance. We owe their Chinese banks this money. And there's a debt restructuring. And you heard when Janet Yellen, the US Secretary of Treasury, came to Zambia, she blamed China, that China was not playing ball. The IMF Managing Director, Kristalina Georgieva, also blamed China, that we're moving slowly, debt restructuring is failing. We can't give Zambia as the IMF this $1.3 billion. We've only given them an amount of $188 million, but until they resolve the debt restructuring. We think that out of these 35 trips, the president must have allowed at least 1 trip to go there. Let me emphasize why. When President Lungu went to China in 2019, there was a debt that was due to be paid, for Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. That debt was obtained under President Mwanawasa. It was $90 million with interest. It was far, far more than that. On the dinner table with President Xi Jinping, the cancellation of that debt was done on the dinner table. On the dinner table, C400 for the Copper Belt was given for the roads that have been built, on the Copper Belt. I think 3 major issues were resolved on the dinner table. These were outstanding issues where technocrats, ministers of finance and their officials were discussing for a period of 3 years. One dinner table gave us more money and cancelled previous loans. That's what diplomacy does. So the president staying away from China doesn't help. We know he leans to the West, but he has a duty to this country. This huge debt we have with China, why doesn't he take a trip? Let me open the lines and hear your views and concerns. Our numbers are 0973 04 5292 or 974 808 115. So the president has taken 35 trips. One of my colleagues was saying 36 trips, but 35 trips counting. And the last trip is still in England, and I was listening to the news where they've said he has now taken a state visit to Scotland. No, he can't take a state visit to Scotland because the only visit he can take, Scotland is under the United Kingdom. They've only one head of state who's a queen, this time the king, and one prime minister. Scotland, there's a federated structure existing at the moment. England, Scotland, and Ireland, and the two make United Kingdom. And so I saw even this entire trip. We had the president very distant from the king. You saw a picture with the king, and he very distant. And we saw that the media team was so exasperated that they had to fish out. We saw the UPND begin to circulate a picture taken at COP26. So we have a first caller. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, this is Patrick calling from within Saraka.
Yes, Patrick. What are your questions and contributions?
Yeah, my question is on the proposal that was made to sell those companies.
Yeah.
Are we looking at just us just having the name that we own them, or is selling it's going to be profitable and it will make sense, business sense? Have you looked at both sides of the coin?
We just have to look at the 90s. Patrick, we just have to look at the 90s.
Yeah.
That's the best experience.
I respect that, but
the same argument, Patrick, was used, that these companies are loss-making. And we lost the entire industrial sector, industrial and manufacturing sector in this country because of that decision. And it's been difficult to recover.
In the past, that mistake was made, we accept. A little due diligence was done. So now, don't you think this time much attention has been paid, and maybe the letting them go will benefit the country more than keeping them? I'll give you an example like what happened to the sale of Zamtel before the satellite administration. And then when President Michael Sata, may he so rest in peace, came in power, he rescinded that decision, which later costed the country so much. And the little information I have is that even the payment is not even done. Meaning we are still incurring interest on our side. We are losing more. So this thing of maybe just trying to hold on to a company just for the sake of like bragging that we own them, yet it's not making a profit, it's not making business sense. Maybe shouldn't be the talk so much as for now. Maybe we should be looking at is it going to pay? Maybe we should be arguing more if it's going to profit us letting it go or keeping it.
Patrick.
That's my submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you. I was answering Patrick quickly because sometimes I lose the thoughts when the calls keep on coming. We had 325 companies. At the end of that cycle, our country was deindustrialized. We lost the manufacturing sector. We lost the industrial sector. Lusaka, Chipo, wenga mwakuma industrial, light industrial sector. Na mwaku Ndola, mwaku Kitwe, mwaku Livingstone. We lost companies. Under IDC, we only have 33 companies. Why don't we bring proper management to those companies? Why don't we remove these acts of corruption that occurs like it is with ZCCMIH? Good evening, please make us, you can contribute to any of the subject we've discussed.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel.
Your name, sir?
My name is Mark. I'm calling you from Lusaka, Zambia.
Mark from Lusaka. Thank you, Mark. Make your contribution to whichever topic that you heard.
Thank you very much. I want to address myself to the trip that the president is to make going to China to address the issue of debt. I'm still at pain to understand why the president is failing to travel to China. Because yes, Zambia borrowed, and much of our debt is owed by China. And what that debt was doing is clear for everyone to see. We are all seeing the roads that are there. We are all seeing the hospitals that are there. Right now, as I'm talking to you, Ambassador Mwamba, I want to put it to you to know that all the ministers in this government, all of them, the ministers, talk about home affairs, local government offices everywhere. They are right now seated in their offices in buildings that were built by China. And they are making this decision. They are enjoying the beauty, the select of the nice buildings built by China, and yet they are failing to work China. And to say that, look, this trip you end up Kuma Coronation, you go and I'm very surprised. That trip was that trip could have been attended to by the vice president.
Yeah.
Amai and Arumango. He would have gone there, so we go to China. Look at how miserable our vice president. There is no trip can carry all second trip or president behind up in the end. And yet going to China. So what I'm putting across is that please to this government to take a trip to go to China and address this issue of debt. Please borrowed and borrowing. We are all seeing and enjoying the fruits of that borrowing.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
From China.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you very much. Thank you. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Mr. Mwamba.
Mark here was saying, okay, let's hear your contribution. Your name, please.
Yeah. I'm not pretty sure why you would be blaming the president for making in as much trips as he's made. When he properly, you can see that.
Your name, sir. Your name. You haven't given us your name.
Okay, this is Hangandu from Monze.
Hangandu from Monze. Yes, my brother.
Yes, Mr. Mwamba.
Yes. What is your contribution or question?
My contribution is that, in as much as it would be costly in monetary terms for the president to be making so many trips,
it is still beneficial in one way or the other, considering that he's trying to ties at the moment. You should equally realize that, dictators hardly move. A few of those who are very tactical. So, but those that are like in a very, very proper democratic environment, they are free to move in as much as they want to make a lot of relations that can properly contribute to the social, economic growth and development of the country.
Thank you, Mr. Angandu. Thank you very much.
Thank you. But however, I admit that
it should not be done in a rush, but there are a lot of things that need to be done. I think I appreciate your contribution and concern that there is too much hesitation in terms of visiting China. I think China at the moment is one of the superpowers, and that cannot be questioned. Yeah. And looking at how the jumpstart to becoming a superpower has been, I think it is important for them to learn that they should be in some form of engagement.
Yes. No, thank you, Mr. Mwamba. I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Mark said very, very cardinal issues that the government, government complex built by China, Minister of Home Affairs, China, local government, China. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you very much. My name is Chivala. I'm calling from Mazabuka.
Mr. Chivala from Mazabuka, please make your contributions.
Okay, so thank you very much. Actually, for starters, I'd like to appreciate what you are doing. You are really teaching the nation on a lot of things that are even good for democracy, for people to interact on issues of national interest. My question is on the same Congolese that the government has to the Chinese. My question is, those people who got that Congolese, didn't they have the plan on how to repay this Congolese? Because I begin to think that maybe you are putting a lot of pressure on this current government that only has a few months and still are making plans on how to do this thing. Maybe this Congolese was gotten over a long period of time, maybe they say 7 or 10 years. And then that government which was there didn't have a plan in short. So are we not like punishing or saying few things about not a new government over a crime that was, or over something that was done by other people who have been less? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chivala. I've always stated that the goodness with the PF debt is you can marry every dollar to what they did. If you look at $300 million gotten for the international airport, you will find the airport. If you want the 280 gotten for Lusaka decongestion project, you will see. If you want to see where they took the 480 for Mwomboshi Dam, you will find the dam. If you want to see where they got money to build whatever project it was, you still find the project. You can marry the money to the infrastructure. I've always challenged the New Dawn government that you've borrowed so much already, locally and internationally, and where have you put your money? You are aware that last year they got $750 million from the World Bank. $750 million. This is an amount for the first Eurobond. Good evening. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Yes, Mr. Daniel. What's your contribution?
Yes, I wanted to make a contribution towards the HH trips outside Zambia.
Yes.
From my observation, I think it appears HH is he has more vested interest towards the West, especially the UK and Americans. I think they've done a lot to him prior to him winning the elections, the general elections. I think it's appearing as though it's a payback for what they did to him. No matter what advice you give him, be it logic or not, I think his mind is fixed towards the West. Even if the solution lies in getting some interactions with the Chinese, but he doesn't go in that direction. That's what I wanted to make.
Okay. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much. Yeah, the lines are open. What are you contributing to? On the international trips, I sat one time in the FOCAC meeting. This is a big meeting that China holds with African heads of state. It was in South Africa, and I was a brand new ambassador. in South Africa. And we arranged a bilateral for our president. And our president met President Xi Jinping. And all our proposals, financial proposals, were approved there. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, good evening, President or Ambassador Mwamba.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yes, I've been following your program. Luckily enough, today I have an advantage. I have a privilege to my line to go through.
Yes, tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, my name is Samson. I'm calling from within Musaka.
Thank you, Samson.
Yes, yes. Ambassador, you are so very much. You are so very much objective when it comes to your people. But I want you to understand, or maybe to clarify. Yes, I've followed on your maybe the presidential treaty and the borrowing and so on and so forth. But the money went, it is seen through the flyover bridges, the congestion and so on and so forth. But some plans when you become the president over the PF, because PF is dented as the most corrupt party and the most party that tolerated maybe Kadarism and hooliganism. And in the ending process, we are still seeing new faces. Apart from the economical point of view, do you have any other hope that you can give to the Zambians where they feel at least there will be some changes? Because we've seen whenever you meet, we still have those odd faces still trying to create some fracases, and the people voted out of PF, voted PF out because they thought it became arrogant, and we have not seen some kind of reducing themselves. They are still arrogant. So do you believe in regrouping the same people to come and govern us again? Or what is the new hope that you can give to the Zambian people for you to be voted in again? I thank you.
Thank you very much, Samson. This is a very difficult question for me, Samson. The political players, most of you professionals, most of you good people stay away from politics. And then you wonder who rules you. Even the people in UPND are not new. You know, Nalumango was a long minister under President Chiluba and President Mwanawasa. Felix Mutati has been a minister since Mwanawasa. You can name all of them. Bradford Machila was a minister under Dr. Chiluba. So when this question is thrown to the PF, it's like only the PF have old people still sticking into politics, when many people are still, you know. Let me play the video by Ian Khama, the former president of Botswana, on these foreign trips, so that you understand our concern and what his view was about foreign trips. Our president has taken 36 international trips in 20 months. While Coronation now is having meetings, now is going to Scotland. No, that's not the purpose of those international trips. Let's play the video by Ian Khama.
Why is it that you never indulged in international travels a lot?
International what?
Travels.
Because my job was in Botswana. I was not an international president. I was president of Botswana. And I believe that when you do, when you have a division of labor, okay, people, there's a reason why you have a vice president. There's a reason why you have a minister, including a minister of international relations or foreign affairs or international affairs and cooperation, is that they can also truly represent the country in various fields. So why should I be the only one traveling all over the world to represent the country? And whatever I attended, I must be able to bring back something of benefit. So it was to division of responsibilities.
There's a reason why you have a vice president.
There's a reason why you have a minister, you'll attend these meetings. Sitting where I will attend myself. But if I'm going to be traveling all the time out of the country, you're going to lose touch with me. There was enough time that I had given, the work I'd given myself.
So why should I be the only one traveling all over the world to represent the country?
Enough to keep me busy.
When you have a division of labor,
I'd be spending, flying around every continent in the world, showing people that, no, I'm the president of Botswana. That's why I spent the time traveling in the country more than I spent the time traveling out of the country.
Yeah, so who did you appoint? Why is it that you never indulged in international travels a lot?
International what?
Travels.
Because my job was in Botswana. I was not an international president. I was president of Botswana. And I believe that when you do when you have a division of labor, okay, people, there's a reason why you have a vice president. There's a reason why you have a minister, including a minister of international relations or foreign affairs or international affairs and cooperation, is that they can also truly represent the country in various fields. So why should I be the only one traveling all over the world to represent the country? And whatever I attended, I must be able to bring back something of benefit. So it was to division of responsibilities. When I'm VP, you'll go and attend these meetings. When I'm minister, you'll attend these meetings. Sitting where I will attend myself. But if I'm going to be traveling all the time out of the country, you're going to lose touch with what's going on. There was enough to keep me busy that I had given, the work I'd given myself to do for Botswana was enough to keep me busy and didn't give me time to be spending, flying around every continent in the world, showing people that, no, I'm the president of Botswana. That's why I spent the time traveling in the country more than I spent the time traveling out of the country.
Yeah, so who did you appoint? Why is it that you never indulged in international travels a lot?
Very much. As you heard from President Ian Kama, even me when I was ambassador, there are many meetings I represented the head of state. I actually even attended 2 summits, one an extraordinary summit where SADC was holding its meeting. It was an emergency meeting. Also in Lesotho, where my Minister of Foreign Affairs was busy and the head of state couldn't come, I represented the president. And regularly when I was at the African Union, there were many meetings. I represented the head of state. Or the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Relations came. It's not every trip that the president should take. I've seen that the president takes even exhibition meetings, these and exhibitions that should be undertaken by his ministers of commerce or ministers of small enterprises, at best ministers of finance. And he promised us a lean delegation. Why would you go with the minister of finance to the coronation ceremony? Why would you do that? So call us on 0974 808 115 or 973 04 5292. Those are the numbers to reach us. 0974 808 115 or 973 04 5292. There are many issues that can be resolved by proper meetings. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, Mr. Mwamba. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Okay, my name is Chinyama.
Yes, Mr. Chinyama. Where are you calling us from?
From within Lusaka.
Thank you. Please make your contributions or your questions.
Okay, I really appreciate the platform that you have brought up, Mr. Mwamba. And I want to commend you. Personally, I really love the way you do your politics.
Thank you. I'm grateful,
Okay.
Mr. Chinyama.
Yeah, I like the way you do your politics. You are good at researching. You are good at bringing out things so people can understand. Okay. I think if I was a PF, I would really need people like you in most of the strategic positions in your leadership because you are really a different brain.
I'm grateful, thank you.
This is personally to you.
Thank you. Thank you for the kind words, Mr. Chinyama.
Thank you, sir. However, I have this word that I would want to advise.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, the problem that you may be having in the PF is this, that you seem to be looking more onto negatives than really offering the critical check and balance that is real. Because I'm looking at the video you've just been playing for President Kama. You know, when you look at Kama giving that interview,
yeah,
Kama was giving that interview in the comfort of an economy that was doing very well in his country. Botswana were able to meet their payments, their debt obligations. Their economy has always been firing. Even now, their GDP always has been very good. You cannot compare the economy of Botswana and our economy here. Our economy is completely in the mess. When you look at an economy growing in the -3, my brother, which our able finance minister, former finance minister, Walyangandu, a man I also hold in high esteem, was able to own up in parliament. The economy had really collapsed. The best we can do is to acknowledge that our country has really been down. And that the movement of the president now is really important. Because, you know, when a minister travels, his value is different. When a minister goes to meet business people out there, it's not the same as when the president himself goes. The president carries more weight. When a president meets an investor, and a president assures an investor out there that the word of the president is much more authoritative to an investor and more encouraging to an investor than the word of a minister. So in our current situation as Zambia, looking at the financial debt trap that we are in, we really need to have our president moving and meeting people. That we must all at least agree to say yes. I don't like some of the things that UPND is doing. Personally, I can tell you, because me, I'm a neutral Zambian. I like, I want the best for our country.
Yes.
Yeah, I want just the best for our country. If our country can rise, our country can grow, we move in peace, we see that everything in our nation is moving well, to me, to be happy. What the UPND has been doing, some of the things, I am extremely not happy with them. Like the harassing of the former president, I don't like that.
Yeah. Yes, no, thank you, Mr. Chinyama. I've got your view. Is that there should be positive criticism, not just negative criticism.
Yes, we really need to have our president moving, engaging investors. The presidential word is really important for the investors to now be able to come and bring their funds and so on. Thank you so much. Otherwise, Mr. Mwamba, I really like it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm grateful.
I also want to request, Mr. Mwamba, on a personal level, if you may like it, please, my number is there. You can we can interact.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let me get it before I lose it, because we are going to have too many calls. Let me just get it. Just hold on, so that I can reach you later.
Get it, sir. I really want to be talking to you.
Thank you. I'm so grateful. Thank you very much. I've got it. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, good evening. I'm Mr. Tembo. I'm calling from Mufulira.
Mr. Tembo from Mufulira.
Yes, please.
Avena Lunsonga. Mwene wa Lunsonga. Center, because there are no economic activities. The smelters are down.
Oh, the investment was done in the acid plant some years back. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so
please make your contribution. Let me not derail you.
I want to you see, the story about the IDC. The moment I heard that, because when you look at the way Pence was talking in Parliament at the time of privatization, And if we're to raise Ronald Penza from the day to day and see, look at the consequences of things we're promoting,
yeah,
I don't think he can stand it.
Mm-hmm.
So please, if you I think it should even come to the fore. Let's find solutions locally. That's number one.
Yeah.
Then number two, on the issue of SSMIH, it simply goes to show how careless we are with our mineral resource. Let's imagine a time when the population of Zambia will be 200 million.
Yeah.
Are we going to have the same minerals we have today? The answer is no. So the most important thing is that we need to put right policies in place to manage these resources properly. So my thinking is, personally, the way I look at these things, if we should put it in the constitution to say, oh, minerals, if you come as an investor, 50% already belongs to Zambians.
Yeah.
As the minimum, we put it in the constitution because when this president comes, in the end, we end up losing. Okay? I was working in the mines myself, and I can tell you there's so much saved from these investors. A lot, from the rock face all the way to the finished product. Now, my jobs are in a mine. Ask the locals, we don't get that much. Imagine an investor, a foreigner, getting $5,000.
Yes.
And the local doing the same job, getting 5,000 kwacha. They just change the dollar, and the other side they put the K, but they are both 5,000. You see? Now, on the issue of the Patriotic Front, my party, you know, this now Sampa thing, what if it drags up to January 2025? What are we going to do? Okay? And the time is not there to mobilize the party on the ground. Already this UPND is 2.5 years in power, almost 2 years in power. Time to mobilize the party is not there.
Yes.
So we don't have the luxury of time. These things need to be resolved and resolved now. Because it favors them. It favors the other party if, okay, the case is dragged in court. It is their advantage, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that is another issue. Then when you look about the issue of trips, there could be 500 trips, but how important are they?
Yeah.
You can make one important trip, and it is worth more than the 50 that you are going to make. So issues. Okay, I'm prompted to speak because I feel for my country.
Thank you for the passion, Mr. Tembo. I'm so grateful, and thank you. You are regular callers on this program. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Tembo. I'm grateful. Okay, I can see the phones are buzzing. Please call us. And for those that will be calling, be brief so that you can allow others. I like Mr. Chinyama's contribution where he thinks we are not being positive. But for me, I bring critical analysis, and where it is wrong, I call it wrong. I still hold, let me take this call. Good evening, and tell us where you are calling us from. Oh, we lost that call. On the trips, Mr. Chinyama was saying sometimes you need the president to meet investors. I hold that it's not the role of the president to meet investors. In fact, it promotes a sense of corruption because people think that because they met the president, they don't have to follow regulations. They will tell even a minister or a junior officer, what can you tell me? I met your president in this area, and you kill the appeal process in case something goes wrong. Because imagine I want to invest in the solar plant, and let me take this call. Good evening, please. I apologize. I saw you've been calling and we keep on missing your line. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'm calling you from Dola. My name is Vikram.
Your name is? Vikram.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Vikram. Please make your contributions.
Yes, I want to make a contribution regarding the presidential foreign trip.
Yes.
Yeah, I want first to start with looking at the benefit of this international trip which the president has so far taken.
Yes.
Since he assumed office, as you say, at 35, 36 foreign trip. But I'll touch in one or two things so that at least we go along as you and the listeners, so that at least some of them they were able to discuss some foreign trip with the president. I'll start with in 2021.
I hope you'll be brief. I hope you'll be brief.
Yeah, I'll be fast, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
In 2021, the president went to United States of America, USA, where he came with 30 million USD from the USAID, a million challenge compact grant awarded of $300 million. That was the foreign trip came from USA. In 2021 again, in UK, 1 billion euros pound green wealth in compact for renewable energy and sustainability is also a benefit for Zambian people. In 2022, EU trip to Belgium, I think you remember in Belgium, 300 million euros, accesses to 150 billion fund for sustainable infrastructure. Those are also coming at the benefit of the countries. So when you talk about foreign trips, let's talk about what so far we benefited as a country. Despite criticizing every foreign trip, but we should look at why is the president moving up and down? What went wrong for the president, for himself, the president, going abroad? Looking at the reputation of Zambia, how it was under the previous government. You're even feeling ashamed of yourself, even just to say that I'm a Zambian. Why? Because Zambia was known by corruption, where business opportunities were shrinking. Zambian investors were not even interested to invest into Zambia. It took the president now to just start moving up and down, make sure that we restore the confidence of investors back into the country. The president cannot sit in the State House like that. The reason why is that clip who said that, no, I was not directed, he knows why he's saying that. Because you can't just say that, yeah, I was starting I was not elected to become international president. So the president has been there in different, there are a lot of things that I can talk about here, the benefit.
Thank you, Vikram. Kindly wind up, Vikram.
Yeah, to conclude.
Yes.
You remember the trip which he took to Abu Dhabi, about $2 billion for renewable energy solar, which is also coming to Zambia. So we are looking at what the president went and come. Right now, as I speak, Mwamba, as I speak, I need to also to confirm to you what the presidential President Hakainde Hichilema Facebook page, how much money so far have given to Zambia today as we speak now.
$1 million.
Where he went?
$1 million.
Where he went now?
By Osisa.
Yeah, 1 million. Do you think so? If you think that if he was in Zambia seated in the State House, could you come up with that money? No. You as PF, you used to go and carry your people there. You go and dance, come back with nothing. So don't say that, no, the president is just moving up and down. We know what you, as PF, you were doing regarding foreign trips. You take our resources to the foreigners. Instead of coming with money, you just come with your suitcase, of course. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vikram. Mr. Tembo raised, from Mufulira, raised an important issue on IDC and ZCCMIH. And Mr. Vikram has raised issues that the president has been bringing money. Well, the bad news is that these are mere pledges. These pledges every year, you can go back up to from 2009, we received pledges $3-4 billion a year. But do they actualize? Even when we had the highest COVID crisis in 2020, we had investment pledges. So do not confuse the two to mean that this is actual money coming. Investment pledges for me, until I see brick and mortar, until I see the project located, and I'll respect those pledges. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, sir. Honorable, this is Emmanuel Mwamba.
Yes, Mr. Emmanuel Mwamba. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Lusaka.
Yes, Mr. Emmanuel Mwamba. Please make your contributions.
My concern is about the living, the economy. Yeah, in time of PF and in this time for UPND, there's a big difference.
I'm fine.
Yeah, when we remember minimum, we used to buy 120, 140. But nowadays, when you see in this regime, we are buying minimum 220, 195. So for me, there's a big difference. Even Zambian people can see that there's a big difference. Hello?
Yes, Mr. Lungu, we can hear you.
Yeah, there's a big difference. So as Zambians, we should see the difference, UPND and PF. In PF, things used to be better, honorable.
Okay, Mr. Lungu, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, as Mr. Lungu says, this is a matter relating to high cost of living, where goods and services cost far, far more than they were as at August 2021. The UPND says because they are repairing the economy, but the reality is on our people who are disadvantaged because things cost far more than they did before. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
How are you? This is Mr. Mwamba in Western Province, Mambo.
Yes, my brother.
Yes, Mr. Mwamba, I'm just calling you. Please, can we continue with our conversation which we started? There's a program in place and your involvement is very important. So I'll just congratulate you on the brief, but please, I've noticed that you're not picking my calls. It's important that you do.
Oh, okay. Okay, my brother. We missed your call?
It's of national interest. We need to talk.
Please make your contribution, sir.
I just wanted to congratulate you on what you're doing. But please, as a reminder.
Yes, yes. No, let me get your number, sir. 5. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so we have 3 topics under discussion, essentially. The occurrences at ZCCMIH. London has suspended its listing. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Mwansa, calling from Mansa.
Yes, Mr. Mwansa from Mansa.
Yes. Natama bokranda pot. Even last time nasara danjera. Nga mrepera criticism of Muranda Fiamano Vama. Number example narapera what he post how much to me or how much randa prefer for much under my jacket nishbaka in the Namino study. Ababa King Charles now the menina poparia then was
Kagame.
Empire. So number feed ya. Bayechechinga basafimona kuti basafimona bararanda murefo kubafwa oro mureranda titabakwadama mamonaka so meaning na filefia manofo mwingaranda tawe bayechechi chiteni kwefi nangu chiteni kofira bararanda ndibirawe muntu arenze tingafi then ichimbi narime mwene kunganda yavarungu kuna kunganda yavarungu fya chitike ba UPND na bayeche chavaru fyengi oro shiani bana nyaba avaru fyenye chinto chone ngate mu kwishiba.
Okay. Mwanza from Mansa has raised 2 critical issues. Number 1, that I raised a post where I put the picture of the king speaking to other president, and our president was very distant, no eye contact. I was demonstrating that here we bother to go to these coronations and there's even no attention paid to us. I was demonstrating. I know I received a lot of criticism. People thought it was petty, but a picture communicates 1,000 words than I could communicate. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Yes, please speak up. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
This is Mr. KM from Southern Province.
Mr. KM?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Where in Southern Province?
Zimba district.
Zimba. Thank you very much, sir. Please make your contribution, sir.
Mr. Mwamba.
Yes.
Yes,
please proceed, my brother. One Zambia, one nation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Mwamba, I think you would have been a good politician if you would have not started using this what you are doing now, because you are just tenting. Otherwise, but what you are doing now, you want to follow the Tayaris, which is not good. President Matrip so some of the things they may end out matrips used to go matrips when kupanga matrips mugunka muguyana baunka wa kusuazisani ku South Africa kwena babola no nothing kwena suno mutaliwe kwamba matrip ngobenda wa president atitawuchaita, honestly speaking. Some of the things that you criticize, criticize. We don't know if you want to bomb those are cadres that would better whatever. So most so I would just suggest is just stop what you are doing, then you concentrate doing other things. Thank you
very much. Thank you. Ndalumba Kabotu, Ndalumba Kapati, my brother.
Okay.
Well, KM says I should stop what I'm doing and I shouldn't. My dear brother, KM, the president has taken 35 trips. Why hasn't he gone to China? Answer that for me. Our economy is on standstill because of the debt reschedule and the debt restructuring program. The debt restructuring program, our largest and single creditor is China. Out of 35 trips, the president and government couldn't find space for the head of state to visit China to ensure that we unlock this crisis. If China doesn't move on our issue of debt, it's to the detriment of the UPND government. It's to the detriment of the wherever he's going here. These are mere pledges that I can tell you. And China is real debt, and it's affecting our economy. It's affecting our IMF bailout. If it is resolved now, it is resolved for good, and it will be to me and you your benefit. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Oh, it's me, Msonda. I'm calling from Kawe.
Mr. Msonda from Kawe, please make your contributions, Mr. Msonda. Kurika eko kunu mashimiani foni yonangu. Emkwai.
Ndetotera sana mlevombo kukalamba sana.
Emkwai.
Chikangalo tunapaka sekita tshanya vipika tsanyu PF so that tufumiyepo lapungwa lakabwala bafumepo. So that tubafunyepo 2026 bafumepo. Because mobile shida safari sire kundeka na mupili. Ifintu cyari cyachpa mu PF. Pero mumone ifintu bosire shwanumba. Ifintu cyadura. Abantu barechura background. Mumone economy is not running well. When muntu read that price, then economy is not doing well. It's a vision for this. Nangu mtene barega mukubati barere tendara mukongatea. Tendara makala shambo bisendara bagararisa. Na mutaimu wali fuga PF ndara mashararisa. Bare tute. Bare sanengara. Namba bena sincho kwa kubarerisa. Sasa nangu fili. Because I'm a trip here, that is very necessary. If they want to mama foreign affairs or vice president of Syria, no vice president of Mugabe, no vice president, time that when it be president in there.
Thank you, Ramsonda. Thank you very much. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, Kelvin.
But Kelvin Murikwi? Finland in Europe. Thank you, Kelvin. Just there is feedback on your phone. Just reduce volume on your phone.
I'm saying talking to Kelvin from Finland.
Yes, Kelvin. Okay, mkwai. Mwikala ku Finland na ngumuleta ndalafia. Yes. Awkalina kunowala mishupa tiyo tumeniko $100, tumeniko $50. So na mwishwa economy efyo idi. Okay. Thank you, my brother from Finland. I'm grateful. Thank you for your contributions.
Thanks so much, bro.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
It's Mr. Tiambaga again.
Yes, Baba.
Yes, this is Mr. Tiambaga again.
Yes, my brother from Zimba.
Yes.
Thank you. Please make your contributions again.
Most of the callers that are calling you and contributing, they are using the same language, they are members. Why I've been following you program Yanway. And what I've noticed is that most of the people that are complaining and giving the feedback on what you are saying and praising you, they are mostly members.
My brother, I will rather you change the language. We don't discuss tribalism here.
Yeah,
I want you to bring a tribal element. No, my brother, no. I refuse to discuss.
But that is what is happening.
No, it's just a dark hole. When we begin to discuss that matter, it just takes away our productivity. We are discussing ZCCMIH. I'm being listened to globally. I don't know where you are calling from. My lines are open. I don't care what language you will use. But my brother, I advise that we don't discuss issues of tribe, ethnic, who belongs to where. For me, that's not in my area. Our politics here are about issues. We are discussing ZCCMIH. There is a suspension in London. What's your contribution? This is the second suspension.
That's what I'm trying to advise you also, sir.
No, on issues of tribe, my brother, you must know me. You can discuss those issues with other people, but here we discuss issues.
Okay.
That is a guidance. Do you have any other contribution?
No, it's fine, but that's what I wanted you also to say.
Okay. No, I'm grateful. Thank you very much. I've always felt that you can never win with the issue of tribe. So for me, it's out of debate. It's not necessary. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello. Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. I just want to hint on the... Okay, my name is Magdalene Nak.
Magdalene Daka.
Nak.
Oh, Magdalene Nak. Yes. Where are you calling from, my sister?
From Chelston.
From Chelston. Thank you very much. Please make your contributions.
Okay. I just want to hinge on the fact that at first you gave us a caption of President Ian Khama.
Yes.
Yes. Let's not forget that these presidents have a professional background that aligns to their performance. President Ian Khama went to Sandhurst in England. He was a lieutenant. He's actually a man who drives himself on a chopper. He's a soldier, actually. Now, coming to our president here, President HH, he's a businessman and an economist. So he's recently been to the coronation, so that plus the entourage that you went with, people that are economists and people that are going to help him look at the status of Zambia's economy.
Yes.
So, yes, sir. So, when you say that he's making too many trips, I think let's just retreat a little bit, because you are going to get so many feedbacks to, ask you, reflect on our former president, the President Edgar Lungu, how many trips he made, So let's just be sensitive on that. I appreciate what you're doing, but let's just not look at what this president did and this. Let's look at their professional background. And then you looked at, I was looking at Botswana. Botswana is a very strong economy. Ian Khama was relaxed, because even now if you went to Botswana, you can't compare the state of Botswana with Zambia. They are very organized people in everything. So this is what the president currently is trying to look at.
Yes, yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let me just stop a bit. But
thank you very much. I think, Magdalene, you've made your point.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Magdalene. So we think that the trips are numerous for the short period. The president has taken over 35 trips in almost 20 months, and some trips he could have delegated to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, to the Minister of Commerce, to the Minister, to his ambassadors. There are key trips that he should have taken, such as to China. Out of 35 trips, there is no single trip to China. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yeah, this is Mr. Joseph within Lusaka.
Joseph from Lusaka. Yes, yes, sir.
Yeah. Politician loko vaitechi vaende na varungu vezo loko mukabwere ichimodzimodzi naimo muzayamboenda so ivonsontana vachisaso ise mayusi talema tiviti tandiza tokura punzise vintu vezvitatipereka kusogoro noti vamachanishani yambani kuchita kukamba kovinani wazo tayari naye uku akamba naye mukamba so bera matako vintu vezvitatipereka kusogoro vama politics still no more future.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you. A visit to China is very, very important. This will unlock our debt restructuring program. It's been delayed for almost 2 years. The first staff level agreement was signed on 3rd December 2021, and we were only given $188 million out of $1.3 billion. Good evening, please, my brother. I'm so sorry. Every time I came to pick your call, you were gone. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
No, that's fine, Mr. Mwamba. How is your evening? My name is Mbolela from Chicago, USA.
Mbolela from Chicago. Yes, my brother. Please, from Chicago, Mbolela, make your contributions.
Yeah, so I think for me what we need a serious talk as a nation. And the reason I say this is I just don't seem to see any policies from the new administration with regards to helping Zambians. I see the policies to help the mining investors in terms of tax breaks, but you don't see Zambians gaining anything out of any deals that the new administration is talking about. So I think what we do need is you look at the Kaunda administration, you had Zambianization. Kaunda was very determined to make sure that Zambians, including the foreigners that Zambianized themselves, they helped him build the nation.
Then came Chiluba. Chiluba came up with two policies that I do remember very well. One of them is if you are a Zambian and you have money, you can bring in buses from outside. It's duty free. So to this day, you see Zambia, the government is not in the business of providing transportation in Zambia. That's provided by the private sector. That's Chiluba's policy. The other policy is the housing policy. When Chiluba came in power, he told the Zambians that the government was not in the business of providing housing. So therefore, you need to take up the land, build your own homes, and be landowners. You see, right now, you have a lot of Zambians who are landlords. So the point I'm talking about is policies is what changes the nation. I've tried to look at the pronouncements of the Mr. Hakainde. I wish him well. I want him to succeed. But I don't see any economic policies that is pronounced that would help in terms of accessing Zambia's resources. Even when you look at the recent pronouncements about the Ndola Lusaka dual carriageway, the Chinese are going to as taxpayers portions of it. But here we are. We've been independent since 1964. Are you telling me that Zambia know how to form corporations or even limited corporations access the same amount of capital that the Chinese are going to? Or give Zambia some portions of the road along with the Chinese, right? Those are the policies. So when you evaluate the administration, as far as I'm concerned from a distance, I really don't care who is in there. I care about the pronouncements of the policies. You can go to the Bloomberg, you can go to the New York Stock Exchange, you can tell the mining corporations who are making money in Zambia, they report all those financials, they are available. They are making tons and tons of. Just last year, if you look at every person that is extracting Zambia's copper, you look at their financial statements that they've reported, because they are public traded institutions, so therefore they report this to the shareholders. And then you look at the price of average price of copper per ton, which was 9,000, multiplied by what was extracted from Zambia. You're talking about $7 billion was made by the mining investors. So why is Zambia borrowing 1.2 when the mining investors themselves are making more money than that? So for me, that's the conversation we need to have is, let's look at the transparency. Right now, you go to the Ministry of Mines, go and look at the information there. You're not going to find a single information about the mining investors who are extracting copper in Zambia. Shouldn't that information be available the same way these people close the financials to their shareholders, so that us who have interest in evaluating the information, we can look at this information, see what is available. Let's look at the tax rates. Let's look at what was paid to the Zambian government. This information should be public. So the point I'm trying to say is you cannot demand transparency from the PF administration. You go after them to say they eat the money, they stole the money, but then you are not disclosing the information to the Zambian stakeholders about the taxes and all the information that the deals that are being made. I just don't think that is fair enough. So my contribution for me is just twofold. One, the new Dawn administration needs to be transparent to the Zambians as much as the mining investors are transparent to the shareholders. The other thing is Hakainde Hichilema, he needs to make pronouncements in terms of helping the Zambian businessmen and women to take advantage of the environment when copper is at its high price time. In other words, what people are in Zambia as we speak, in Kansenshi, all over the places, including the Anglo-Americans that left Zambia 30 years ago, they are back. There's no discussion in terms of how they came back. There's no discussion in terms of what the Zambians are going to get out of it. So for me, the frustration is, if you are a person like myself who just relies on information that is there so that you can do the analysis and provide the information and have an intelligent discussion, those information are not there from the Zambian government to the Zambians. However, you can find that information to the mining corporations because it's available to their stakeholders and their shareholders. That information should be available by the Zambian government. So therefore, what you are doing, I commend you. What you are doing is not partisan. What you are doing is what we are supposed to do. Our policies are supposed to supersede whoever is in there. When you look at the American foreign policy, it's not a partisan policy. America's stance on Russia and China is the same, regardless of which political party is in power. We need to start crafting domestic policies that should supersede whoever is in there. The whole idea that Mr. Tony Blair should be in Zambia giving advice to the president, but yet Mr. Hakainde Hichilema has not reached out to Edgar Lungu, who is an insider and he knows one or two things about running the government, is the reason why we are not respected. You understand? We have to, in order for anybody to respect Zambia, we have to show that we respect ourselves. You cannot be seeking information from people who are out of touch of the problems that Zambians face, but yet the opposition every day who are in contact with their constituency, you don't consult them. Certain problems we can solve them not as politicians, but we can solve them as Zambians. Why? We need to have the collective will. The only country we have is Zambia, and those resources that are down there, they were given to us by God so that we can take care of our children. The same way oil was given to the people in Dubai, was given to Saudi Arabia. The Chinese, God gave them the resources. You don't see the Chinese parading themselves as international beggars asking for anything from anybody. You don't see the Saudi Arabia doing them. So why are we parading ourselves as international beggars when the people that are in Zambia who are foreigners are making billions and billions out of our resources? Where is the missing link? The missing link here for me is Zambians themselves do not have the information in order to start having this conversation. The other thing is the whole
from Chicago. I gave you a lot of time because, my brother, you had been phoning from 20 hours and you were not getting through. So thank you for those views.
No, thanks so much. Thanks so much, and God bless Zambia. God bless everybody else.
Thank you for those views. They're very important. I get them. One, policy pronouncement. We haven't seen any policy pronouncement. Mining investors have more information about how much mine houses are making in Zambia than us Zambians. I've gotten you, and this is a serious talk we must have. We should move away from the petty and make sure that our leaders account for resources that we have. Thank you, Mr. Mbola from Chicago.
God bless.
Thank you. I saw today the president sitting with OSISA. OSISA is a foundation. It mostly funds LGBT communities across the world. But to Zambia, they're saying they will fund $1 million towards the fight against corruption. And I laughed, $1 million. This is what we are getting from Umpika today. Let's just play those two videos for Ian Kama and the God that has broken out in Kanyelele, in Chief Chikwanda, Chief Mukwikile area. Everyone has flocked to that area because God is just everywhere on the surfaces. Why do we spend time in London, in Washington, when the wealth is here? Let's play those two videos by Ian Kama about foreign trips and by the God scramble that is in Kanyelele going on right now.
Why is it that you never indulged in international travels a lot?
International what?
Travels.
Because my job was in Botswana. I was not an international president. I was president of Botswana. And I believe that when you do, when you have a division of labor, okay, people, there's a reason why you have a vice president. There's a reason why you have a minister, including a minister of international relations or foreign affairs or international affairs and cooperation, is that they can also truly represent the country in various fields. So why should I be the only one traveling all over the world to represent the country? And whatever I attended, I must be able to bring back something of benefit. So it was to division of responsibilities. When I'm VP, you're going to attend these meetings. When I'm minister, you'll attend these meetings. Sitting where I will attend myself. But if I'm going to be traveling all the time out of the country, you're going to lose touch with what's going on. There was enough to keep me busy that I had given, the work I'd given myself to do for Botswana was enough to keep me busy and didn't give me time to be spending, flying around every continent in the world, showing people that, no, I'm the president of Botswana. That's why I spent the time traveling in the country more than I spent the time traveling out of the country.
Yeah, so who did you appoint?
Directors. For the live,
I think that we are spending so much money seeking foreign solutions, seeking foreign money, seeking foreign direct investment when we have a lot of money for our country. Sujilite in Mufumbwe, I mean in Chembe, it's just sitting. There is no consolidated plan, no announcement. ZCCMI should have spent now time to attempt to begin to mine that rare commodity. Kasenseli has been shut since 2020. At least SCMIH under PF tried to open that mine, and under cooperatives. There's a lot of gold in this country. I don't know where it was. It's like the Lord has just opened our eyes, and wherever you look, there's gold. In Mumbwa, in Vubwi, in Petauke, and now in Impika. I'm told that gold is everywhere. A lot of people have packed it. They are staying in Kasama, in Impika, some even as far as Serenje, because there's no accommodation. Everyone has rushed to Mpika, and there's this gold rush, because this gold, I'm told, they're just finding it everywhere. In Lumezi, there was a similar scramble that you must have seen. Again, gold was just being discovered everywhere. But Iliash, Tuwafi were packed in Washington and in UK, looking for what? The money is here. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
David Moyo
Wambuya, my brother, how are you, Moyo Wambuya?
Mr. Mwamba,
Yes, sir.
from the time of this year,
Yes.
the time of this year arranged.
Yes.
It is failed project. Now the other culture, we control of our emeralds. Now a Senegalese guy who came as an expatriate teacher in Kitwe now owns a mine competing with Kacha. When this Moses Katumbi took the founder of Finance Bank, claiming 25 kgs of emeralds which went missing in the bank of Finance Bank, Raja Matani. When I calculated the money, the value of the 25 kgs of emeralds which went missing, that was enough money to pay out the road rehabilitation projects which were happening in Lusaka at that time, under President Chiluba's time. By that time, I was running the Sun newspapers. I was managing the Sun newspapers myself. We had a long story, cover story, which was written by Joseph Chinaisha, former
former
Deputy Ambassador to the US and to China, yes.
As a testimony, went to interview Moses Katumbi in Kitwe. Unfortunately, we couldn't make the headlines because when we published, Mr. Scotta Wina, who was the editor-in-chief, did not allow the publication to go through. And that's how Joseph Elijah quit the Sun newspapers as editor-in-chief because of that story. The leading story, which the Honorable Scotta Wina did not allow to be published because he was protecting the interests of Rajavatani at that time. And the President himself was protecting Moses Katumbi. So this country, unfortunately, has been ripped by its leaders. This country, we should be open and be thankful. This country has enough resources to sort out any problem. But unfortunately, no one even talks about the emeralds in this country. No one even talks about the emeralds in this country. Why don't we talk about the emeralds in this country? How much emeralds is Kajam pulling out? One time, this is a true story. Kenneth Kaunda went to Switzerland. He found an emerald which was very big. It was priceless. There were 4 powerful countries who were going to attend the auction. When Kaunda asked them, so where is this emerald from? They looked at each other and told him, sorry, sir, actually this emerald is from your country, from Kaja. Kaunda after he came back and chased away the guys from Israel who were running Kaja. These are stories we know.
Yeah.
So please, ZCM IH is a failed project. It's a project which needs politicians. We know what's happening in this country. So let's get the story straight. If we want this country to prosper, we all know. You, Mr. Mwamba, and me know what happens to our minerals. Why should we talk about copper? When you mine copper, there's always gold. You can't mine copper, there's no copper mine without gold. Why is the gold not being declared? These are facts. So, Mr. Mwamba, as I've said, I'm very emotional when it comes to our national interest. But as I told you, please, I need to have our conversation, which we started on a personal level, to end.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, my brother. I'm so grateful. Thank you for your contribution.
Cheers.
Yeah. Mwamba is very clear. Zambia is the single largest emerald mine in the world, and we are the second producer in the entire world for emerald. Who does it benefit? Where are those billionaires, the owners of those 2 mines? Sujilite. We have now, he's right about copper and gold. The late Dr. Matthias Mpande, former Deputy Minister of Mines, and then Chief Mpande in Mbala, he became Chief Mpande. He passed on last year, may his soul rest in peace, repeatedly maintained that the mines we have in Northwestern Province, we should not call them copper mines. He said they are gold mines because in his view, the presence of copper, the presence of gold in those copper mines is quite high. I think about 20-21%. And he said, when you call them copper mines, you may mislead people thinking there is no gold that is being mined. And, many other people challenged him that, they are copper mines. But I'm glad that Kansanshi now is now called in its right term. Kansanshi is now called Kansanshi Copper and Gold Mine. And that's how the terms should be, because then it elicits that interest in our people, that people are just not mining copper, they're also mining gold. Thank you for that insight. And like I said, gold is breaking everywhere in this country. And there's no management. Even I can tell you the people benefiting from the gold that has broken out in Impika or in Kasenseli or anywhere else. It's not the country. This CMIH for me is my proposal as a state vehicle to move in and collaborate with local communities so there is benefit to her. I know the failures of state-owned enterprises because we don't allow them to work professionally. That's why you have consummate professionals like Dolly Kabanda resigning because she can't stand this political and corrupt influence that comes from politicians. We have to fix our country properly. And I still hold the entire trips that have been taken. Imagine if we spent them dealing with our local creditors and our local people that we owe money. Imagine if we did that. Imagine if we spent time to understand our copper resources, our agricultural opportunities. Camping in UK, in London, in Washington, in New York, for me, doesn't resolve the crisis we have. Tulikumatero, if you have any burning call, you now may make a call. That was David Myomban. My dear brother is a journalist as well from Mongu. Let me just go through the summary of issues. We hope to close at 22 and 22 exactly. So you've got 15 minutes. For those that were failing to go through, I urge you, even before you watch that match, if there is a football match, call, so that we wind up the day. What were we discussing today? ZCCMIH and this suspension from the London Stock Exchange. The Financial Conduct of Authority of the London Stock Exchange has suspended ZCCMIH. ZCCMIH issued a statement this afternoon where they were saying that it is due to non-publication of 2021-2022 audited financial results. And they said there is another item on the disposal of the 90% shares of Mopani. And also number 3, that the Financial Conduct of Authority also wanted to understand ZCMIH assets and liabilities. But we know that there's another big issue, the political interference. This is a second suspension from the one that happened at Euronext Access Exchange in Paris. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Endita, but Joseph from Chambeshi, please make your contributions.
And then charo abantu muno mcharo turechura. Ene imagine ine panga ndatwikara abantu abashiksi. So about tukumane, they have to spend about 600 kwacha to 700 kwacha fe pabunga fe weka weka. And the salary which I get, maybe sometimes 2,500, sometimes 3,000. So number apopene parina abana obondingira okutwala ku school. So this time nangu kuri free education iyo yinyaba abasyashi bafuire bareya mu gutandara mu maklasi amini maskuru mu batwara abana babo. Ine abana bandi bonse fe better narare nsarabati abana bandi batwara pa private school. Because tapari firi mu private mu government school. Barebwera fyo kwaburanga namira ama books umwana wandi uko bazuri ari mu grade apashire last year kwisa mutwara pa Chambish primary hapa. Tapari nangu fimwe filipo mwana wandi namwe pusha iwe nishanya hapa 2 pages mwe book ya history. So can you imagine muri 2 years kuti bapuisha nani kana sira basi ya history. Kwa so kwena ma contribution at for kupanga kwena.
But Joseph, Natasha sana, thank you very much for your contribution. Yeah. Joseph from Chambeshi has complained about the high cost of living. He says he can barely manage as a salary, but even just the price of meal, price of fuel. And he says, yes, there's free education, but we are failing to benefit from it. And also he has complained about the quality and standards that is at the education that is being provided free. This is livid example from Chambeshi. Another matter that we've been discussing was that the disposal of state assets requires that you follow the law. And we think that this government hasn't, especially on Kansanshi, the 20% shares that the ZCCMIH has. Then we've been discussing, of course, then on ZCCMIH, we had minority shareholders raise complaint that they've not been involved properly and that they've called for investigations, criminal investigation in the matter. The 20% shareholding that JCMIH has in Kansanshi was converted. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Mr. Tembo from Florida.
Well, Mr. Tembo, welcome back. Welcome back. There is feedback from your phone.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, I think now that we, like the one who called from Mongo.
Yes.
Yes, the way he feels about the issue of minerals, that's the way I feel. And we all know what the solution is. Okay? I think going forward for me, as a people, we just have to make a collective decision. Let me use the word board collective decision.
What do you propose?
Zambianize this thing. Simply. Let's just go back to the Kaunda formula and we forget. Because, you know, sometimes, in as much as we may be educated with our degrees, sometimes the degrees take our wisdom. We can have all the education, but the wisdom is not there.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Tembo from Muflira. You are very candid. Just Zambianize. This reliance on foreign investors will not work.
Please. Just take note of my number. Don't run the one-on-one.
Okay. Just a minute. Don't cut. Let me just get your number. Thank you, Mr. Tembo. I'll call you back.
All right,
thank you. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Mwamba. How are you?
I'm very well, sir. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'm calling from Malwapula, Chembe district, sir.
From Chembe. And your name?
I'm Justin, yeah.
Okay. Mr. Justin, please make your contribution.
Mr. Bamwamba.
Ala,
ifwe, tushinjirire fyamaboko n'amaka n'amulupali mwe babyefu. Natuisho Bamwamba nangu balande shani bachite shani aba bantu tapali uko baleya. So twapapata bombe sheni fya papelela makaya yenu. Ngefyo mwatu tsungire n'okututeka. Tato atala tutekwa hapo efyu kufupa fye pali wakaunda kuisafika na lelo chashu pilila. Tuambio kutanta mnomunga Bamwamba. Twapapata poseni kofi amano. Be united, please twapapata.
Thank you very much, my brother. Thank you, Justin from Chembe. Justin from Chembe is just calling up on the leadership of the Patriotic Front to be united. He says we are the alternative government to the UPND. And the last issue we've been discussing, of course, is the trips, international trips. I have been proposing that out of 35 trips, the president must have found at least one trip to go to China and resolve these issues. I gave an example. Over dinner with President Xi Jinping, the date for Levi Mwanawasa Stadium was cancelled and more money was unlocked for Zambia, you know, for the infrastructure projects that Zambia was doing. One single trip. And I also gave an example that I was in a meeting when President Edgar Lungu met in 2015. I was a new ambassador, new high commissioner to South Africa, and we hosted the FOCAC meeting. That is a meeting between China and Africa. And our president was one of those that were privileged to see Xi Jinping. And whatever we had submitted in 2015 was approved there and then. That's the power of bilateral visit, sovereign to sovereign, president to president. Our debt restructuring program has stalled for the last 2 years because of the delays around China. Remember, China and this G20 framework is very new. It's a new initiative, and under the G20 framework, 3 countries are being pioneered: Chad, Zambia, and Ethiopia. Ethiopia owes about $50 billion with China, and with For Zambia, it's about 6 billion. Chad is a small amount, about $263 million. Chad, in fact, has a bigger debt with Glencore. I don't know under what arrangement they had, but they owe a private company more money. Even our debt is like that. It's highly diversified. You owe pensioners, you owe savers. We even owe people like my dear brother Mikalile. We owe him $300 million as a country. We owe China $6 billion. So all of them have been put in one basket under what they are calling a creditors committee. It's a new initiative. It's different from the HIPIC initiative. The HIPIC initiatives, we didn't own private individuals. We owned nations and countries, and it was easier. And then we owed these international financial institutions like IMF and World Bank. So it was easier to write off that debt in 2005 under the HIPIC initiative. This one is a bit different, as the debt is mostly owed by the private sector. Those were discussion. We are remaining with 6 minutes. Make your contributions. Make your contribution. Oh, there's another issue that I addressed, and only Mr. Tembo and another gentleman contributed to it. IDC, the proposal by Economic Association of Zambia that IDC must be sold and the groups of companies that are there, especially those that are loss-making, be sold as well. I said we are not learning anything from history. Currently, IDC has majority shareholders, minority shareholders, or their investees in various companies, such as in mining, there is Kajem, in forestry, Zafiko, under agriculture, they have Kawambwa Tea, under energy, they own Zesco, Indeni, Bangweulu, Ngonye, Lusaka South Emphase, and Infrastate, Zesco subsidiary. Under the banking and financial services, they own in Indobank, Zambia Industrial Commerce Bank, Zambia Reinsurance, Zanaco, Zisk General, and Zisk Private. Under manufacturing, they own Superior Milling, Marco Polo Towers, NCZ, Zampam, Zambia Cashew Company, Easter Tropical Company, and Kaleni Hills Fruit Company. Under health and tourism, they own Mulungushi International Conference, Lusaka Trust Hospital, and Mulungushi Village. Either they are major shareholders, or they've invested in these companies, or they are minority shareholders. So I'm waiting to receive the last calls so that we can close exactly at 2022. Yeah, just if you can prepare that. We had a lot of phone calls today, and I'm glad, I'm very thankful to all the people that called and their contributions. Today I endeavored to quickly answer whoever was calling, so that we could have answers right there and then. Every day we are learning. You've seen now we are doing an opening where we put our thoughts to a subject, then invite you to contribute. On the international trips, they attracted, I can see, there were many calls on the justification of these trips, because I think that the president has taken too many trips, too numerous trips in a short period. Sorry, there's a call here. I've taken the phone elsewhere. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Mkwaiba Mulenga, Badishani. Nabalande chalo chile miumfwa.
Ubutongoshi bw'abapiye farangi bafine barasipora bakirandara ikataneni ababa munene fwe n'abafirwa tushonze fire kitika masa ine yakutira n'abafirwa kama fe baranda fe shuri yakwe bati basoro tingeshi bakwe bantu kwena ara n'abafirwa ikataneni fe no kumono kutira tuinga ninga niwinga abantu balina okumitungira muna sesile ekisita kyatara kapwechi palinga cha kumapumula mono kuba kyarabaawo na kapade abantu n'abakwata confidence mulimu so kine kwekaze kuyikatana bamwayikatana naikumwala tutera confidence yakutira chawo kandi abadingire nawe nomumanga kyakushira ati warabo okutontana ninjawo tapali panto abantu bena nanguta bareranda nga bayikala beka nabesha fino kujoba badawe natufiga tapali okubenga nomba feni niso mifeshishera Mkwai.
Yo Natasha bamulenga Natasha sana ni nkosho mwatupela na maana yene mwatupanga Natasha sana. Thank you very much. Okay, that's it for today. Would like to thank you for your contributions. The brief will be coming to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and it will be for a period of 2 hours, to discuss pertinent national issues. We'll endeavor to discuss national issues to elevate the discourse. This country needs a healthy debate about our country. Our contributions are not malicious. Our contributions are designed to build the country, but we'll call it as it is. So may the Lord keep you. May the Lord bless you as we end the program. May you see tomorrow. May you be blessed. God bless you and thank you for listening. See you on Wednesday.
Emmanuel, Mwamba Emmanuel.